Emily Miller, thank you for joining us from somewhere in America today.
Just the Atlanta airport. I'm on my way to Daytona Beach to do a little Second Amendment speech. So happy to talk to you.
Fantastic. Yeah, what a rough gig, by the way. Heading to Daytona Beach. You know, it's getting cooler here in D.C. while you're gone.
Well, unfortunately, it's get in, do a speech, and turn around. I'll be back in the cold and rain in D.C. by tomorrow morning.
All right. Well, enjoy the sunshine while you can. Listen, you've got a big story, the Washington Times, about a businessman in Washington, D.C., who's facing 2 years in jail. He doesn't have a criminal record, but he's facing 2 years in jail for unregistered ammunition. Is that right?
It's a terrible case, and I've been talking to Mark Wittachek for months as if his case has dragged on. He is a successful financial advisor. At the time, he lived in Georgetown. Now he lives in Virginia. This was a year ago, and he was in a dispute with his estranged wife at the time, and she unfortunately went to police and tried to get a restraining order and claimed he had guns at home. Now, Mr. Wittachek is a gun owner. He's an avid hunter, but he keeps his guns at his sister's house in Arlington, Virginia. Well, the police, based on this temporary restraining order, which the judge rejected because it was not true, authorized a search of his house. Well, the police showed up in June of 2012 and asked to search. They did not have a warrant, and he knew he didn't have any guns, so he authorized them to go through his house. They found one box that he had forgotten about in a drawer of .40 caliber ammo, one antique relic Civil-era revolver that was on his desk, which is fully legal to have in D.C., which they seized, never gave back, and one shotgun shell that was inoperable and he'd kept from a hunt as a souvenir. Then he said the guns are at his sister's house. They went out to Arlington without the Arlington police, the D.C. police, and said to his sister, "We want to see his guns." Now, she refused, as most people would, so the police in her house. Well, they showed up the next day with the Arlington police and a criminal subpoena for her because she wouldn't show them his guns. Then, a month after the original search, about 30 cops in full tactical gear at 8:30 at night start banging on his front door, and Mr. Wittachek's 16-year-old daughter, terrified, open the front door. They barrel in. They run upstairs, throw Mr. Wittachek and his girlfriend on the floor, face down, handcuff them. Then each had 2 children in the home. They took all 4 children, threw them in a room. The most horrific thing they did is they used a battering ram. His 16-year-old son was in the bathroom at the time. They used a battering ram to break open the bathroom door and pull him naked out of the shower and throw him in the room with the other 4 kids while their parents were handcuffed face down on the floor. They then spent 2 hours going through the entire house. They pulled everything out. He has about $10,000 worth of damages, and I've seen the photos of what they did. And in the end, they found one empty brass casing, and he has a single-shot muzzle loader, so what they call reloadable bullets, but they're actually one-loadable bullets for a muzzle-loading single-shot rifle. And for all of those things from the first search, which was not a warranted one, and the second one, they refused. They prosecuted him. They charged him on 2 counts of unregistered ammunition because in D.C., casing counts as ammunition, and only registered gun owners are allowed to have ammunition in the city. He refused to plead, and the district attorney, Irvin Nathan, has refused to let it drop, and so they're going to court on November 4th on this. And Mr. Wittachek, by the way, I will add, also spent one night in jail because the police made him turn himself in after the search, and he went at 5:30 in the morning, and they dragged it on until it was too late to get arraigned, and so he had to spend the night in jail.
Unbelievable, Emily. And
I know, Cam, and it's so upsetting. I mean, it's just so upsetting. This is a man who's law-abiding, has 3 children, has lived an honorable life, he's got life of the law, and the city just tortures him. And this is America. I mean, these things are not supposed to be happening. You're not supposed to have SWAT teams in your home scaring your children to go after guns that don't even exist. And even if they did, he's a completely law-abiding person. And as Mr. Wittachek pointed out, there are 3 people killed in D.C. that night. So what were 30 police officers doing, spending their time terrifying this family over some bullets?
You know, that Emily, that fact right there needs to be trumpeted, because this is ridiculous. And we've seen so much from Chief Lanier in terms of promoting these gun control spectacles on Capitol Hill, helping to bring these banned guns into Washington, D.C. I can only assume, Emily, that it's the chief's philosophy to go and prosecute, to go and send 30 cops out there.
Absolutely. I mean, the chief is, all of this hangs on her head. I mean, this is a woman, the chief of police, Kathy Lanier, who we found out, as you know, and I did your show recently, I found out from a FOIA request that she aided and supplied the illegal, quote, assault weapons that Dianne Feinstein used at her press conference in January. She also refused to arrest David Gregory when he knowingly and openly held up an illegal 30-round magazine on Meet the Press. And she's aids and abets all these. And just this weekend, she gave gun parts to a bunch of gun grabbers to use the cathedral to supposedly make into plowshares. I mean, she is an activist, liberal, appointed police chief who is going to aid and abet the guys who want to grab our guns, and she is going to go after people. And this is one of many cases I've covered in D.C. where you have Sergeant Corrigan, Lieutenant Kim, who've had their houses raided, who've spent the nights in jail because Kathy Lanier is going to get every single gun that she can get in the city, and she doesn't care if it's owned by a law-abiding good person or a criminal. And that's why 3 people, I wouldn't say directly, but 3 people are killed in D.C. on the same night, and she's got 30 cops scouring this Georgetown home. I mean, this is her agenda. This is all in her head.
All right, so this, as you say, this
and ask
man.
Me how I really feel about her, Cam.
Well, listen, Mark Witaskic is going to trial. They offered him the plea bargain. He said no. So he's going to put his trust in a jury. Is this going to be a jury trial?
We don't know yet if it's going to be a jury trial, a judge. It goes to trial on November 4th, so just less than 2 weeks. And, he's obviously, as anybody would be, really scared about what's going to happen. But he says it's the principle of this. I mean, he has spent all his money on legal fees and frankly, has a lot of financial trouble right now because of it. But he says it's the principle, and he is not taking he's not going to have a criminal record for having casing in his house or for having warrantless searches of his home. I mean, it's just so outrageous, and it's so un-American and a violation of the Constitution. And, he's really putting everything on the line. And, he spent one night in jail, and God willingly, someone smart, but I think the district attorney's office is going to go after him. This is the same district attorney, I might add, Irvin Nathan, who refused to prosecute David Gregory, who obviously knew he was breaking the law because Irvin Nathan, the prosecutor, said it doesn't promote public safety. So the same prosecutor says David Gregory doesn't promote public safety of prosecuting him is prosecuting Mr. Witachek for somehow that is promoting public safety.
Yeah. It'd be interesting to get David Gregory's thoughts on this, Emily.
Well, I don't think David Gregory would take my calls.
I'm going to ping him I'm going to ping him on
maybe
Twitter.
He'll take yours.
I doubt he'll take mine either. I'm going to ping him on Twitter and see what he thinks. I'm going to send him a link to your story.
Great. I'll retweet it. You do that.
Listen, Emily, this is an unbelievable story, and I can't thank you enough for writing about the injustice that's being done to folks in Washington, D.C., because if you weren't writing this stuff, nobody would know about it.
Well, I mean, I'm very grateful to these people like Mr. Witachek who are willing to go public because, of course, it's embarrassing and it's difficult to have this stuff go out because it does affect your family, affects your career. But, if they don't go public, then the laws never change and the courts never change and the prosecutions never change. So, it's really, it's humbling for me to just be a part of their bravery.
Well, listen, Emily, again, I appreciate you coming on the program. Get to your speech safely, and we look forward to talking to you again very soon.
Thanks for having me, Cam.
Absolutely. Emily Miller of the Washington Times joining us here on Cam and Company. And there goes the tweet to David Gregory.